Shabba Ranks. Man, the name itself just is dancehall. We're talking about a two-time Grammy winner, a total icon, with his booming voice and a stage presence that took Jamaican music to the entire world. But you know, behind all the gold chains and the global hits, there was a man who lived by a seriously rigid code. So today, we're going to peel back those layers and look at the rivalries, the betrayals, that really defined his reign as the emperor of dancehall. All right, let's get into it.
And that quote right there, that's the key. That's the key to understanding the whole man. Shabba Ranks, he came from a place of, well, deep suspicion. He truly believed that in the cutthroat music world, your so-called friends had a nasty habit of turning into your worst enemies. And this wasn't just some line for an interview. It was a survival strategy that would shape and break every single relationship in his career.
To really get this story, you've got to picture the scene. It's Kingston in the 90s. This was the golden era of dancehall, and it was born in the heat of these loud sound system clashes and these smoky late-night recording studios. It was a world of just raw, unfiltered talent and fierce ambition, where respect was everything and betrayal, well, was always waiting right around the corner.
Okay, so let's start with this first group of rivalries. We're talking about the ones that were born from alliances, partnerships that just curdled into pure competition, where guys who started out as brothers in arms ended up as bitter enemies. First up, Ninja Man. When somebody asked Shabba about their relationship, he used just two words, but man, were they powerful. Sweet and deadly. It started out as one of the tightest friendships in all of dancehall, but it went so bad that people were warning Shabba that his own life was on the line.
So let's look at how it all fell apart. They meet back in '87, two artists just coming up, and they clicked instantly. Shabba said they were tighter than plenty people know. Collaborating, writing together, pushing each other. But as Shabba's career just exploded around the world, the cracks started to show. And his 1991 Grammy win, which should have been this huge celebration for the whole genre, it became the tipping point. That's when the sweet turned deadly.
And this quote right here, this shows one of the first big red flags. Shabba said that Ninja Man wanted to co-own his master recordings, the original source of every copy of a song. For Shabba, giving that up meant losing all control. It meant becoming, in his words, a slave to the man he once called his brother. And he just refused.
So after the Grammys, all that private tension, it just spilled out into the open. Ninja Man started grabbing every microphone he could find to take shots at Shabba. He was publicly saying that Shabba had lost his Jamaican roots, that he only had the respect of foreigners. The guy he used to share meals with was now actively trying to destroy his credibility back home.
All right, next up in this brothers-turned-rivals category is Beenie Man. Now, their feud wasn't just about who was more successful. It was about what success even meant. Shabba's ambition was global. He wanted to be an ambassador for dancehall, to take it to the whole world. Beenie Man, on the other hand, he had this laser focus. He wanted to be the undisputed #1 king in Jamaica, and he would do it at any cost.
What started as a partnership just devolved into straight-up sabotage. Promoters talked about how Beenie would deliberately make his sets run long just to cut into Shabba's time on stage. Shabba even claims that Beenie would go to promoters and try to get them to book him instead, even offering to do the show for less money just to steal it. And the final straw? Beenie started using his stage time to publicly mock the controversies that were really hurting Shabba's career. To Shabba, that wasn't competition. That was betrayal, plain and simple.
Now, this next set of feuds, it's different. This isn't about jealousy or who's on top. This is about deep, fundamental clashes of belief. We're talking about morality, authenticity, and what it really means to be a true artist.
So, in 1992, on a British TV show, Shabba Ranks said something that would literally change the entire course of his career. He was defending Buju Banton's controversial song, Boom Bye Bye, and he said that gay people should be crucified. This one moment is absolutely central to understanding the next chapter of his entire life.
The backlash was immediate, and it was brutal. His label dropped him, major shows were canceled. That unstoppable international momentum he had built, it just came to a screeching halt. He went from being the global face of dancehall to basically a pariah overnight. And it was right in the middle of this firestorm that his relationship with another artist completely imploded. That artist was Elephant Man. Shabba had looked at him like a younger brother in the business, but as rumors started to spread about Elephant Man's own sexuality, Shabba's rigid homophobic beliefs made it impossible for him to stay associated with him. As he put it himself, I couldn't stand beside him no more. All that warmth just vanished, replaced by this coldness that ended with Elephant Man publicly mocking Shabba as being washed up. And then you've got Lady Saw, the undisputed queen of dancehall. I mean, her career path has been absolutely fascinating. She completely dominated the 90s with this raw, unapologetic music. Then, in 2015, she shocks everyone by leaving it all behind to become a gospel minister. But then, she started popping up on secular reggae lineups again, a move that Shabba looked at with just utter contempt.
See, for Shabba, this was all about authenticity. He believed that an artist's word had to mean something. So watching Lady Saw, now Minister Marion Hall, condemn dancehall only to show back up on its stages, it just felt like a total betrayal to him. In his eyes, it wasn't just her being an opportunist, it was like she was playing a joke on the entire culture.
Okay, our final section here explores conflicts over something that's just so deeply ingrained in Jamaican culture: respect. These are feuds about hierarchy, about the role of a veteran, and about how the old guard is supposed to treat the new generation.
And this really is the central question, isn't it? Should a king protect the old traditions at all costs? Or should he be helping the young princes find their own voice? This big philosophical divide is right at the heart of Shabba's conflict with the one and only Bounty Killer.
Bounty Killer has always, positioned himself as this gatekeeper of real dancehall, and he's often criticizing newer artists for having shallow lyrics. But Shabba saw this completely differently. He accused Bounty of stunting the genre's growth by constantly putting down the youth. Shabba remembered how veterans dismissed his own raw style when he was coming up, and he believed a true leader should encourage new talent, not crush it.
This last story it's the most painful one. It doesn't start with egos or music. It starts with an unimaginable tragedy. In 2008, the 7-year-old son of fellow dancehall legend Sprague Benz was killed. And in that moment of just profound grief, a misunderstanding would create a rift that would never heal.
In an interview, a grieving Sprague Benz talked about the pain he felt when some of his peers, people he deeply, deeply respected, didn't reach out to him directly. Now, he didn't name names at first, but everyone in the industry understood he was talking, at least in part, about Shabba Ranks. He just felt abandoned in his absolute darkest hour.
But here's the tragic miscommunication at the heart of it all. Shabba was furious at the accusation. He insisted that he did reach out, but he did it through mutual friends and trusted contacts. In his mind, making a direct call would have been intrusive during such a private, painful time. And this just perfectly shows a clash of expectations, where one man's attempt at respectful distance was seen by another as just cold indifference.
So, after looking at all these fractured relationships, all these broken friendships, what does it all tell us? I think it reveals the heavy, heavy price of wearing the crown and the unforgiving nature of the man who wore it. From jealousy and competition to these big clashes over values and protocol, there is a single thread that runs through every single one of these stories. Shabba Ranks lived and died by his own strict code, a code of absolute loyalty, unwavering authenticity, and a very specific vision of what respect looked like. And he held firm to it, even when it cost him friendships, his career, and his reputation.
And that leaves us with one final question. Was this rigid, unforgiving code his greatest weakness? Was it a tragic flaw that just left him isolated? Or was it the very armor a king needed to survive and conquer the brutal, brilliant world of dancehall? The answer? Well, just like the man himself, it remains incredibly complex.